Ladies and gentlemen, let's learn and understand why Max Verstappen sometimes complains about the quality of downshifts in his RB21. Particularly, like the best example is Monaco 2025, where he said on the radio that it's like Monaco 1972 or 1982 or something like that. It was a very funny exchange. Nothing else was happening in Monaco, and that was very entertaining. Either way, we will try to learn why Max Verstappen is sometimes upset or dissatisfied with the quality of downshift. So basically, it's all about maximizing the potential of a car through a corner. And a corner has three parts: the entry, the middle part, and the exit. And you need the weight distribution of the car to be slightly different. So the first here, it's you need a little bit of front heaviness. This happens naturally because when you are braking hard while entering a corner, the naturally, because of inertia, the weight of the car shifts forward. Like you naturally, I think you can experience this in road cars as well. When you brake slightly harder than usual, you can visibly move forward, and this shifts the weight of the car towards the front of the car, and this is good. And that's why the front of the car usually like have front brake bias, because the front wheels do a lot of the braking at that stage, and a lot of the initial rotation also happens. And when the front of the car do a lot of the braking, it's kind of efficient to pivot the car around the rear, right? Like the front are slower. This happens naturally for most, if not all, cars. Now, in the middle of the corner, this is where it gets interesting. In the middle of the corner, you are basically not braking as hard as the entry. You are not accelerating as much as the exit. You are kind of just passing through. And this is where you need the balance to be neutral. You don't need it to be front heavy or rear heavy. In the exit, you need it to be rear heavy, because in exit, you are putting the power down. And if you put the power down, like obviously the weight shifts backward, under heavy acceleration. And also you need rear heaviness, because it also increases the traction between the rear tires and the tarmac. So that's also good. This also happens naturally. Now here, in order to achieve the neutral weight distribution from a front heavy, because here the car is a bit front heavy, from here to here, Max Verstappen achieves this by downshifting. When Verstappen downshifts in the middle of the corner or towards the middle of the corner, what happens is it disconnects the transmission from the engine momentarily, which cuts off the engine braking, which shifts the weight from the front of the car towards the middle of the car. Now, what the fuck did I just say? Let me just explain it a bit more slowly without too much jargon, I guess. So what happens is, like, let's say you're driving a manual stick shift, like a manual transmission car. Each time you shift a gear, you press the clutch pedal, you change gears, you downshift or upshift or whatever. And when you press the clutch pedal, the engine and transmission get disconnected. Now, obviously, if you're doing it in a manual car, in a road driving setting, like you can feel it. You can feel when you press the clutch pedal, the engine braking, like the inertia of engine is disconnected. And you can also feel it when braking the car, right? Like let's say you are driving a normal road car and you just take your feet off the throttle pedal. The car will start to slow down. But if you press the clutch pedal after taking your feet off the throttle pedal, the rate of deceleration will be low. It will not slow down as fast because the engine and the transmission are disconnected. The inertia of engine is not slowing the car down when you are pressing the clutch pedal. And the same thing happens with the Formula 1 car in the middle of a corner during a downshift, because during that split second, a few milliseconds, the engine and the transmission are disconnected. And because of that, the weight distribution, which used to be like this because of braking, now that the engine braking is not there because of the shifting, because of the, like when downshifting happens, the engine braking is basically disabled for that split second. And because Formula One drivers operate in such fine margins on the edge, they feel it. When downshifts happen here momentarily, the car's weight becomes kind of neutral, and it allows for an easier passing through the corners of the car, to the middle of the corner basically. Now Max Verstappen, obviously he's the greatest driver of all time, and that's why he can feel it. In order to extract the maximum performance out of the car and optimize the lap time in an underperforming Red Bull, he needs every bit of performance, every trick from his sleeve. And that's why he complains basically. So when the braking is perfect, but the acceleration is also perfect, but in the middle of the corner, when he downshifts, if there is a slight lag or a slight delay, then he has to do the steering corrections. He has to maybe brake a little bit more in the middle of the corner unexpectedly. Maybe it will also compromise his exit, because in the middle of the corner, if the balance is still like forward, then it's going to make it difficult. Like it will slow him down while passing through here. A front heavy car is good in the entry of the corners because it helps with the initial rotation. And in the middle of the car, in the middle of the corner, there is significant amount of rotation as well. And in that part of the rotation, in order to optimize this rotation, you need the weight to be neutral. You should not be braking or accelerating in order to rotate the car the best, like the most efficient way. Like let's say you're driving a car and you want to take a corner. Try taking a corner while accelerating, try taking a corner while braking, and try taking a corner when you are doing neither. When you are neither accelerating or braking and the engine and the transmission are disconnected and you have pressed the clutch pedal to the extreme, the car rotates the best. You need the engine and transmission to be disconnected. You don't need any kind of acceleration or any kind of braking to have the best possible rotation. So the braking is great for Verstappen usually, but when he downshifts in the towards the middle of the corner and it's delayed by a split second, or it doesn't behave the way in a way it's predictable, then Verstappen's rotation in the middle of the corner suffers. Because of that, his exit gets compromised and then his lap time dwindles. And he relies a lot on this. Like if you look at Verstappen's racing line, he usually stays a little bit further away from the apex. He doesn't kiss the apex like a lot of the drivers like Lewis Hamilton. He gives it a little bit of room, and the reason is because this technique, when he is neither accelerating nor braking in the middle of the corner, he is using his downshifts to, shift the weight from the front of the car to the middle of the car. He is able to carry more speed through the middle of the corner. And overall, around the course of a circuit, around the course of a lap, it optimizes his lap time. And that's why he's very sensitive towards it, especially when the Red Bull is not the fastest car on the grid. I hope I was clear. I tried my best. I don't have that much graphic budget as F1 TV, so I guess this will do. Thank you for watching, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.